Welcome to Tech Tuesday. My name is Abbie Ritchie. I am the host of the show, the founder of Senior Savvy, and you can find me here every Tuesday interviewing people who are involved in helping the lives of senior living operators. Before I introduce my guest, let's go ahead and run our intro. Today's guest is Jen Lovely. Welcome to Tech Tuesday, Jen.
Thanks, Abbie. Thanks for having us. We've got a lot of exciting things happening at Conversion Logix, so I'm excited to be here with you today.
Yeah, thank you. You know, I have been looking at your website. I've been looking at the things that you offer. And what I know is that Conversion Logix understands what today's prospects are looking for. And today's prospects, when they're looking into senior housing, they want the information now. They want all of it. They don't want to have to pick, and they want it all. And so that is exactly what Conversion Logix is doing. Before we talk about Conversion Logix, let's talk a little bit about you. I know that you are the executive vice president of sales. You have been working in the marketing and advertising industry, and you have a lot of experience with digital strategy, sales, hospitality. Tell us, how long have you been working with Conversion Logix for?
I have been with Conversion Logix basically since day one. I'm one of the partners here, and I've been working with Conversion Logix since 2011. So for several years now. And yes, I originally came from the hospitality industry, worked in the, we call it the heads and beds industry, strategizing for several years. I was reporting to owners and operators. In fact, I was going to say, we've got an army of account managers who have also been in the industry as well. Reporting to owners and operators too. So we really understand, not only how to put a campaign together and how to market, but also once we get results, what we need to do to pivot. So, that's a huge asset, having people who are truly an extension of your sales team. I know that's something that a lot of people say, but we really do understand what's going on, and we've been in your shoes. So.
Yeah, it sounds like it. And I will tell you firsthand, there are a lot of people who approach me to be on the show and or have created a technology to help senior living operators, but they have not actually been inside a community in a long time. And so the knowledge that you're able to take and your staff is able to take and implement that into the technology that you're using is so valuable. And it's really just so valuable. So tell me about some of the new features as I was reading through, like, for instance, the cloud benefits to seniors and their loved ones.
So basically, say we've got our Conversion Cloud is a full service technology platform. And we've got a lot of different ways for prospects to convert, like we talked about, right? So we're going to go through and talk about each different module or each different platform. But as we mentioned, it's really important to have that one touch, immediate reply back. So that's really what we're striving for. We want people to be able to get the information that they need when they want it and meet them where they're at, right? So maybe they're not ready to schedule a tour. Maybe they truly do just want a brochure. Maybe they're dealing with 7 siblings who aren't on board, right? So that's really our goal and what we're trying to do at this point in time.
So tell me, when someone is ready to schedule a tour, how do you incorporate that into your technology?
So we have something called the Schedule Genie. And what we do is we integrate with the CRMs. People can actually go into the platform. They can choose a date and a time, and then bingo, they're locked in right away, which is fantastic, right? They don't fill out a form. They don't have to wait for a call back and that sort of thing, which I think is huge.
Yes, it is, because those delays that could really cause friction, and that could drop leads, right? So I know that we have a video. I want to go ahead and run that video for the schedule genie. So if we could do that, that would be great. Let's cue the video up, and then maybe you can talk us through some of the ways that you're using that. There you go. Okay, go for it.
Okay. So the teams at the communities can choose, hey, I'd like to have 2 time slots open every hour and a half. So they're able to choose on the back end when they want to accept tours, what times of the day, how many leads or how many tours per day. So they're able to set things up in the back end of the system. And then prospects come in and they're able to choose a date, choose a time, put their information in the queue, and then they'll receive an email immediately saying, thanks for scheduling your tour. You're confirmed at this time. Any questions, call Abbie, right? And so the community,
please don't call me. I'm kidding.
so the communities are able to customize it and say, hey, call us if you have any questions ahead of time, or if there's something they need to do to be prepared. People are still masking up, or if they would like them to bring something with them, they can instruct them there. And then immediately the team receives an email saying, hey, Jen Lovely just scheduled a tour for next Tuesday at 11 a.m. And also the lead is dropped into their CRM. So, so that's great news.
Yeah, that's so handy. Does it work with any CRM, or are you compatible with only certain ones?
We're compatible with so many at this point in time. So in fact, we just now finished an integration with Welcome Home, like just in the last few days. So, but with several at this point in time, I believe over 25 at this point in time. So.
Wonderful. As we were running the video, I saw some things that drew my attention. One was the virtual assistant, and another one was the chat. Can you tell me more about that virtual assistant, please?
Absolutely. Sometimes people just want a quick answer, right? So with our new virtual assistant, Claire is her name, they can go in and ask some simple questions, get some simple answers, and bingo, they've got what they need, right?
Mm-hmm. I love that. I saw in there that it asked about prices, which there are times, no doubt, when pricing can be that can be all someone wants to see, and yet they can't find that necessary information. So I'm thankful to see that there's a tab there. People do always want to know what the prices are. And then what if there is a chat? What if people want to take it beyond the virtual assistant? What could they do at that point?
Absolutely. And I was going to mention that too. So sometimes people are asking simple questions and they think they're not ready to talk to somebody. We can implement this into Claire, the virtual assistant. You can also just have chat sidebar. But with live chat, we can kind of get down to the nitty gritty. Ask some of those questions. Find out what's happening. Like I said, where are they at in their search? How many people are involved? Are they the decision maker, or do they have other people involved? And basically, in a nutshell, if they're ready to schedule a tour, we'll schedule a tour. But a lot of times we're just helping to answer questions and find out where they are in their journey. And then we're able to convey that to the community. The community gets a full transcript so they can see exactly how the conversation has evolved, what the prospect is asking, and that sort of thing. And then the prospect also has an opportunity to get a copy of that transcript as well, which I think is really important so that they don't have to take notes the entire time.
Absolutely. Who's answering that, by the way?
We've got several people located here in the United States, so 24/7. And several of them as well have been in the heads and beds business too. So they understand, and they're just really trying to gather as much information and be as helpful as possible so that they can relay good information to the community. And it's great because they're there when everyone at the community has gone home for the day, right? So that's important to have 24/7 coverage for the community. So, and then again, when those are finished, when those live chats close up, the team gets an email, and also the information goes into the CRM as well. It's
And
like,
oh, go ahead.
yeah, I would say, I always ask people, you wouldn't leave your front desk unattended. So why would you leave your website unattended? Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
makes so much sense.
Yeah.
And so, at the communities that you're piloting this, how is this being received, and how is that communication being um, received and implemented? Have you found that it's been truly successful for a lot of communities?
Absolutely. In fact, Claire is actually, that's newer, but it's live and running. Live chat's been around for years, so, and has been very, very successful.
Mhm.
So, here's the thing with senior living. Something to remember is that we're trying to meet people where they're at,
Yeah,
and with live chat, we're able to do that. So we have a California based company with California and Las Vegas locations, and they were offering assisted living and memory care. And they had kind of a challenge, right? They were trying to move visitors and prospects from their first visit to tour deposit. And when we added live chat, what was happening is the live chat team was able to talk to them and gather information. And what we saw is 16% of their website sessions converted into live chat conversations. That's huge. So just being able to have that conversation and being empathetic and the ability to talk to people is a really big deal. So, and the live chat team consistently responded to prospects initial outreach within seconds, and they converted 82% of conversations into leads. So those
that's
conversations that they did have. So
that is huge. I love to hear that. I've been in the boat before, maybe you have too, where we were looking for a community for my grandparents. This was several years ago. And just to have someone there available to ask questions, especially for the family who flies into town,
mhm.
needs to quickly make decisions, right? And quickly get information so they can quickly find the right community for their loved ones is huge.
It's a really big deal. And I'll say, on the other hand, on the flip side, when we were looking for my mother-in-law like 9 years ago initially, my husband and I we were the only ones who were on board. The other two said, no, she doesn't need this. And long story short, it took 3 years. So initially I was saying, sure, I'll come in for a tour, but then convincing them was like pulling teeth. So then I was just trying to gather information to keep over here in handy so that when they were ready, then we could pull the trigger, right? So I really appreciated people meeting me where I was at. So, and just answering the questions and helping me to quote unquote build a case, right?
Yeah, that is a great point, because boy, what a long sales cycle that was. And I think there's a way within your technology to highlight different activities that might be happening so that you can continue to draw attraction to what
Mhm.
a community is involved in. What is that feature called?
It's called Spotlight. So I've got a really fun story. We had a community, brand new community that launched, gosh, it was during COVID. And memory care was flying in the door like nobody's business, right? AL was coming in, not quite as quick as we wanted to. IL wasn't coming in, which we thought initially we're in the middle of COVID, so they're going to stay home, right? And as we started coming out of COVID, we realized that this wasn't the case. It wasn't necessarily um, the fact that they wanted to stay home just because of the pandemic. What was happening is we weren't offering the right the right triggers or the right events to get them in the door. So when everything opened up, we said, okay, let's do these huge luau's and these huge wine tasting events and these concerts and everything, right? Where there was, lots of people could come in. And then as we started talking, I said, no one's RSVPing. What's the deal here? So as they were talking to people, they said, are you afraid to come in? And they said, no, that's really just not my thing. So I think it's really important to know your audience, know your geographic area, um, no different groups of people. And what we found out is that a lot of these people, they were introverts versus extroverts. They didn't want to come to a big event. So what we said is, let's get to know these people. So as they were talking to them, what are you interested in? Right. And we found that smaller wine tasting, because it was kind of in that, wine country area in NorCal, but smaller wine pairings or intimate wine pairings, a Bible study, a book club. So as we started paring down and really going for these smaller events, we started getting RSVPs in the door, which was absolutely fantastic. And what we did with Spotlight is we had a module saying RSVP for this event, right? And it would say things like maximum of 6 people, right? So there's different ways that you can highlight that, and people go, "Ooh, I can do that. I can hang with 6 people. I don't really want to hang with 100." So that's one scenario. And now they're moving people in the door. And really, this is in a location where people live in a house growing up. They inherit the house from their parents. They live there till they're 95 and they die there. And now they're finally getting IL in the door because they're recognizing what these folks are interested in and what's going to be their trigger. So I think it's really important to make sure that you're finding out what's important to your potential, move-ins and their families.
Yeah, that's huge. And it's really important to adapt. I always like to know, especially from a technology standpoint, how your company, how Conversion Logix adapted through COVID with the technology, because no matter what industry, no matter what department you're in, you had to adapt and shift. So what you were currently doing had to be changed and adapted. How did you do that? What type of things did you do?
Man, you got to be creative, right? And like you said, when you say adapt, I said pivot, 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 right? So,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
so one thing that was kind of fun and successful was doing some virtual tours, right? Or phone conversations, but still wanting to have that kind of that intimacy that you have when someone comes in the door. So with one community, we did a really fun event. We did Taco Tuesdays. And people they could come in if they wanted, but they could also do a Zoom tour. They could just do a conversation. But the great thing about it is that we still integrated that meal into the whole experience. So they would have that phone conversation, that Zoom tour / virtual tour, or come in the door when that was available. But afterwards, what would happen is instead of sitting down and having a meal, chef had prepared tacos for 2. So if someone had the virtual tour, they could drive up in their car under the portico and they would meet the sales team. And the sales team would, say, "Hey, it's so great to meet you," hand them their meal. So they were having that kind of that same experience. And we were getting super creative. Something else, everybody's heard of a drive-by pie event. We were doing drive-by pie events during, Thanksgiving, 4th of July, your apple pie, cherry pies, pumpkin pies, Christmas, everything, right? And then one other thing that we had great success with was Wine Down Wednesdays. And I know a lot of people had done wine pairing or big wine events at the communities, but instead what we did is said, you've got an option here. You can do a Zoom tour, virtual tour, you can come in, but afterwards you get a bottle of wine. So again, they would drive up afterwards if they had completed a Zoom tour or a virtual tour, and they
But
would
it's not an open bottle, right?
No, yeah, exactly. No open bottles in the car.
No open bottles. Okay, good.
So they would hand them the bottle of wine. Some of them would have custom, corks. Some had custom glasses. But again, they were able to meet the sales staff and get excited, right? And put a face with a name. So there's some really cool things, that the communities did. And again, we just got really creative with them and pivoted every day. So, we did what we did to make it work.
Yeah, it sounds like there are certain campaigns that really work and certain things that you have to just keep trying and tracking, right? What works, what doesn't work. Do you have a certain method for tracking that information?
Yeah, absolutely. So the great thing about it is we've got attribution reporting. We've got our clarity reporting. So we are able to see exactly what's working, what's bringing the leads in, and all that sort of thing. So Basically, it uncovers high performing marketing channels, which apps are converting the most leads, and a prospect's path to the conversion. So what we're able to do is say, okay, and that's how we recognize this small event versus large event. Nobody was converting with a large event, but we were converting with the small events. So we added more of those types of things. Also, we're able to see which campaigns are performing the best. We can add more budget, maybe, remove or edit this campaign, add more budget to this campaign. If we just see that display ads are converting better or social ads are converting better, we can do those things as needed. If someone says, okay, I've got plenty of leads, I just need more conversions. Well, what's converting? And then we go from there. So owners, operators, asset managers absolutely love this, right? Because we're really able to look deep into the campaign and see what's happening. And then, like I mentioned too, we have our army of account managers who have also been doing this for years. They were regionals, nationals, and they had to report back. So not only can they look at the attribution reports, but then, kind of consult, right? And strategize with the team to find some really cool things that are happening and share success stories, from other clients. So
I love how some people are chiming in right now and giving their feedback. And Jeff, I'm so glad that Conversion Logix has been really agile in helping you in this way. That's wonderful. Isn't that super to see, Jen?
Yes, super, super great. So.
And Michael had a question about, he wanted to know about how long do you typically give your campaigns to determine when something isn't working? That's a good question. Thank you, Michael.
That's funny. Yeah, thanks for the great question, Michael. So, Michael, we can actually see, right away if traffic is coming in like we think it should. We can also see right away with attribution reports too, and with leads coming in, are people converting, right? So, we don't want to panic in the first week, but in the first month that the campaign is running, and even a month too, we're looking at things weekly. If you're not seeing any leads come in, then again, we talked about Spotlight, right? We talked about live chat. We can ask different questions. We can actually add different modules or different conversion points and see if that'll alter things. So by having the attribution reports, we're able to really see immediately, pretty much within the first 14 days, are people converting? And if they're not, why, right? So if on live chat, they say, hey, would you like to schedule a tour? And someone says, no, I'm just not quite ready. We can ask, tell me what kind of information you are looking for, or, are you looking at other communities? So we can ask questions so that your team understands maybe why they're not converting, right? So anyway.
I love it. It's so smart and so practical. That's awesome. Are there any other features you want to share with us that we haven't highlighted?
Oh my goodness. I'm trying to think here.
All right.
We talked about attribution. We talked about our virtual assistant, live chat, Schedule Genie, Spotlight. I think we've pretty much covered it.
Good.
Yeah. So really, we're meeting every prospect. There's a point for them to convert along the way, no matter where they're at, which is terrific news.
Yeah, you just have to find that place and then bring them along on the journey from there, right?
Exactly.
And if an operator is interested in getting in contact with you and finding out more about using Conversion Logix, what is the best way for them to connect with you?
Best way to connect with me, you can text or call me. I'm really good at answering phone calls, 360-348-3303, and good at responding to texts. Or you can email me, Jen with one N, Jen L, at clxmedia.com. And I'd be happy to answer any other questions and work from there. And I've got a whole army, a whole team of folks. So bring on the questions. And if I can't handle them all, one of us will. So thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you so much for joining us here today. And I've learned so much. And it's so inspiring to hear that this is not just a matter of people reaching out and not getting the questions answered that they desperately want, but that you have a system in place that's going to help seniors that are looking for housing, as well as helping operators to streamline this process and customize it for each prospect. So awesome. Well done. And thank you for joining us today. And for those of you in the chat and for those of you who contributed today, I'm so thankful for your participation. And we really love to see your questions. And if there's any other thing you want to add, feel free to put it in the comments and I'll be sure to get back to you. We will go ahead and post the rebroadcast of this most likely later today and tomorrow. So feel free to chime in at any time. And I will see you all again next week for Tech Tuesday. Thank you
so much, Abbie.
My pleasure. My pleasure.